None of us in that room would have ever felt like we paid any consequence for dismissing them. They're there again, they're plotting, they're planning, they're protesting more funerals, they're doing the same thing over and over again with different people as the membership of their church rotates. And every single time they show up in the news, they just think they're dismissed by me, and I can look at a whole group of 50 people, again, my age. I might have a speaking occasion with people my age, Christians, Catholics, and be able to say to them, did you ever feel like they spoke for you? Did you ever feel like you were defensive and had to do, oh yeah, but I'm not like that. None of us would have ever felt like we had to distance ourselves from them because they had distanced themselves so far from rational behavior that we didn't need to make a statement to distinguish ourselves from them because they're just, and I keep using the word crazy because there's no other word to use, but I know they're not crazy. They're certainly not all crazy. So listeners, all this preamble for one point. Imagine you're Muslim and the jihadists are crazy like the Westboro Baptist Church, but they're even crazier. They don't want to just act out with signs at funerals. They want to kill everyone at a funeral or a wedding. And yet, Muslims, because of social tension, describe having to differentiate themselves from jihadists, from terrorist, Islamic, Muslim jihadists. So again, if I were Muslim, speaking to a group of Muslims about this reality, how many of you feel like you've had an occasion where you just have to distance yourself from these terrorist jihadists? Everyone would say, yeah. And were there consequences for not doing that? Yeah. Me as a Muslim speaker speaking to Muslims living in this country, yes, this is a shared experience. But in reality, me as a Catholic, as a Christian man, speaking to Christians my age, say, these crazies at Westboro Baptist Church, how many feel like you have to make a statement and maybe even defend yourself as holding an important point of distinction between yourself, how you think about living in society, and how you differentiate yourself? No one in the room would ever felt they had to defend themselves as being distinct from members of the Westboro Baptist Church. So I want to say it's not fair, but that's really not my point. I think these injustices in society, of course they're not fair. But lacking fairness in itself is describing the problem, is acknowledging the problem. In my opinion, what Muslims in America need more than anything, and this isn't just me imagining myself Muslim, this is me watching video after video and listening to the struggle of Muslim Americans. I think what they need is to hear what I'm saying right now. And that is, it is what it is. Just as the Westboro Baptist Church doesn't represent me, and I pay no consequence for that. By dismissing them, I pay no consequence for it. And the same privilege is not entitled to you as Muslim Americans. Yeah, it's not fair. And the politics of the situation make it not fair. But as a fellow American, I can say, I can express myself, and I can say it's wrong. I don't think Muslims need to hear that as much as they just need acknowledgement that it exists. I mean, my message right now is, number one, this disparity exists. I can dismiss Westboro Baptist Church with no consequence, and Muslims cannot dismiss jihadism, radical terrorism, without consequence, because sometimes they're called to differentiate themselves. Oh my God, our imam is suddenly considered radical. Oh, geez, everyone in the mosque, are we all under question? Do we have to defend ourselves? These are real questions of Muslims, whether they're outspoken, overt, or they just exist as some level of insecurity of a Muslim living in this country. Muslims have reason to feel that way. I've never had reason to feel that way with the Westboro Baptist Church. Never. So again, as I sit here in this reflective moment, trying to figure out how to articulate this relevant point, is that Tom Duty sitting here right now acknowledging this injustice, this disparity between me being able to dismiss Westboro Baptist Church with no consequence, a Muslim not being able to dismiss jihadism with no consequence. Something they get faced with time to time, and they have to differentiate themselves, or they have reason to feel pressured to differentiate themselves, a pressure I've never had to face with the Westboro Baptist Church. So I can sit here and acknowledge that truth, and acknowledge that reality, acknowledge that I am the benefactor of something that is not to the benefit of a Muslim American. And I can also say I'm going to do something about it, but you know what? One man sitting here saying I'm going to do something about it isn't really doing anything about it. As my opinion, a Muslim American needs to hear that it exists. I mean, let's face it, there are freedoms and privileges living in this country, and that's a minus for being a Muslim, and I guess a plus for being me as a Christian, as a Catholic. And nobody said at every single turn life was fair. So trying to become an activist and right this wrong, I don't think I'm being called upon to do that. I am calling on myself to acknowledge the reality. And this Westboro Baptist Church, just to tie back into the flashes they've had in headline media for decades of my adult life, every decade of my adult life. I don't have distinct memories of them until the recent half decade or decade. But I know they were out there. And then I had this revelation that they're the same group. And so now to realize that I've enjoyed the privilege of, in no way have they represented me. In no way have I had to feel like I needed to defend myself as being different from them. This has been Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search for my site. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, good evening, or restful night's sleep. Ciao.